Justin Haskins is with us. He is the editorial director of the Heartland Institute and editor-in-chief of StoppingSocialism.com. And really somebody, he's a co-author with the book that is coming out, I think in January, if we can get it done, called The Great Reset. We've been following this for quite some time, and it's really disturbing. Stakeholder capitalism, isn't that the Chinese capitalism, communist capitalism system?
I mean, I think it's pretty close to it. Essentially, what stakeholder capitalism, stakeholder, when the World Economic Forum is talking about that, it means collectivist. That's what it means. It means right. Collectivist capitalism. It's an oxymoron. What it really means is that elites, whether that's in America or at the World Economic Forum, internationally at the United Nations, they're going to decide what's in the best interest of the collective, and they're going to force businesses, they might be technically private businesses, to act in ways that are in line with leftist thinking. And so that's how they get away with this idea of stakeholder capitalism. What they mean by that is the elites are going to control the economy, which is exactly what's going on in China.
Right, and you're not, I mean, Oskar Schindler owned his own business in World War II. He owned it. But if you remember, the Nazis were telling him exactly what to make, when to make, how much to make, and what to sell it at. That's this thing. And the average person is no longer going to be able to, like me, grow up poor, create my own business, run it the way I want to run it, and succeed. You can't do that unless you decide to take the blue pill and you just stay asleep and do exactly what they say. Correct?
That's exactly right. It's a 21st century version of fascism. They don't need jackboot stormtroopers. All they need is elaborate regulatory schemes, the endless printing of money, and they can control virtually all of society through these new systems that they're building. That's what the Great Reset is all about.
And when you understand this, truly understand, people say to me, why would George Soros want to end capitalism? He's a capitalist, made a lot of money. Why would he want to destroy the dollar? Well, because if you're the one in the driver's seat, you're going to make money. If you know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, if you can then control companies, for instance, tell me where I'm wrong on this, Justin. Let's say you run a company and you come to a meeting and all the biggest bankers are there. John Kerry is there, all these world leaders, and they say, look, you know and I know this system can't run the way it is. It's overextended. The dollar is going to crash. It's going to be horrible. We have a plan, but we need your help. We are going to base it on equity and all these wonderful things, and we're calling it stakeholder capitalism. And yes, it will cost you more in taxes, et cetera, but you keep your company. If you don't sign on, we're going to isolate you, or they don't even have to say that. The dollar is going to collapse and it's going to be pandemonium. Of course you sign up. If Hitler would have come to you and said, hey, I want to take over your factory, you'll still own it. Most people would say, okay, right?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And it goes even deeper than that. They're not just saying, hey, if you don't do what we tell you, then we're going to destroy you. I mean, they are kind of saying that in a way, but they're also saying we're going to make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. And we're going to drive all your competitors out of business who are not as woke as you are. If you do what we tell you to do, we'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about it. The government's going to make sure that you are okay. And that is exactly what's been going on. The government's been bailing out these massive, gigantic corporations for years and years and years now. They're always doing fine. It's regular people who end up getting screwed.
So isn't this really a throwback almost to the feudal system, where the king had to please the lords and the ladies, they owned everything, and the people just worked to produce, and they didn't have any say in anything?
I think that this trend, that this theme has existed throughout the entire course of human civilization. Yes. the elite ruling class folks, whether those are kings and queens and lords or emperors or whoever they are, or they're just people at the World Economic Forum, believe that they should be in charge for whatever reason, because God appointed them, or because they are gods, or because they're the smartest people in the room. And what they want to do is find a way to consolidate that power and then to use it to rule over the world. I mean, it sounds crazy, but that's really what they're trying to do here.
All right, I have to take a break, but I want to come back and I want to show the audience another member of the cabinet that is, you would think the stock market would crash after the statements this person has made, but it didn't. And now you know why. I'll show you the statement in 60 seconds.
We will find collective purpose to control the pandemic and build our economy back better than before, to rebuild our infrastructure and create better jobs, to invest in our workforce, to advance racial equity and make sure the economic recovery includes everyone, to address the climate crisis.
Wow, that is your Treasury Secretary. That seems like not her job, but this is the way it all happens. Through money. Notice she used the word equity, climate change, and build back better. Justin, as you're looking at this, what does this actually mean to the average person?
Right. Well, what it means is that the elites are consolidating power, and they're using the Treasury, and they're going to use the Federal Reserve Bank system. And if they have it their way, they're going to reform the Federal Reserve Bank system, make it even easier to do this, to control everything. Okay, I mean, that's really where this is all heading. I mean, it's all about modern monetary theory, the idea that you can just print essentially endless amounts of money, that debts and deficits don't matter, this concept that Stephanie Kelton and Bernie Sanders and other people have been supporting for many, many years. The entire Democratic Party and many people even in the Republican Party have bought into this. We are already engaged in modern monetary theory in the United States. And the normalization of this is allowing elites to control everything. And that's what Janet Yellen is talking about there.
Explain what modern monetary theory is briefly, basically on the impact to the average person.
Right. Well, essentially what modern monetary theorists believe is that if you control your own currency, you can print as much money as you possibly need, the government can, and then use it in any way that the government sees fit, so long as there's not inflation. And if inflation exists, then they'll just enact government regulations that control the economy, and they'll try to kill the inflation that way.
Right.
This will be absolutely disastrous for regular people for a whole variety of reasons. But one of the biggest, of course, is that in the long run, they're not going to be able to stop inflation. And all of the money that you have, all of the wealth that you've spent your entire life building up is going to disappear. And you're going to become absolutely 100% dependent on government to pay you money. And there are already people talking about creating Federal Reserve bank accounts and giving them to everybody in the United States so that people have Fed bank accounts, and then they can helicopter drop money into these bank accounts whenever there's an economic crisis. Can you imagine what this would look like if we actually did this?
Well, if you did that, a lot of people would say, oh, great, I get free money in my bank account. They can also remove it if you don't play ball. You do not want to be on the taking end of this.